My name is Kate Marquez Carlos. I live in Cicero, Illinois, and I'm currently working at a credit union, a nonprofit federal credit union. I am 22 years old. My lifestyle before my conversion was very bland. I really didn't have a motivation in life. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. It just consisted of me going to school, me sleeping, me going home, and just being sad because of life events that were happening. I never really had a meaning to live. A turning point in my life was a retreat I was invited to. It was the Iskali initiation retreat. A friend invited me to this retreat. I really didn't know who Iskali was. I only knew them by a community that I attended 1 or 2 times before I even went into this retreat. I didn't even know there was youth groups still in church because I was never invited to one. So this took me from surprise. This was a turning point because in this retreat I learned who God was to me. I learned that God is a all-loving Father. I learned that there is evil and it's not me. I learned that God forgives, that there's second chances in life. So from that information and that experience that I lived, I chose to start my process of converting into my religion, which is Catholic. Lifestyles have changed because of my faith. I try to always forgive now. Forgiving is very hard for me, only because I've been hurt a lot. And I always want to just hold grudges, and I always want to forget about them and live my life without them, which is not always necessarily a good thing. I've had to forgive people that I love. And I chose to forgive them, not for them, but for me, so my heart could be more pure and more loving for other people. But that was one of the most hardest things that I've ever had to do in my whole life. So I chose that to start off with. I first encountered my faith with this initiation retreat Iskali made, only because I didn't know anything about God, let alone I didn't know that He was loving and forgiving, and I thought I was just worthless, and I thought that I wasn't worthy of being God's daughter just because how I acted and how I was with people. So I feel like that was my very first encounter. But later on in my life, I started encountering God in many, many different ways and powerful ways that I really do thank my initiation retreat for that, for giving me that boost and that push for my converting process. Learning how to suffer. I'm very impatient with suffering. I always ask God, why me? As most of us do. Why do I have to take all the suffering? Why do nobody around me suffer? Why do people not suffer around me? And that's very tough for me because I hang out with my friends. Their struggles aren't half as big as mine, which is very selfish of me even saying because everybody suffers differently. But for me, I feel very challenged in just keeping my faith 100% every single day and still living a very traumatic lifestyle and a very hard life in general. Helping me become a better daughter, a better friend, and just a better person in general, only because I I do know that there's second chances now in this life, and only because one person hurts you, or just a whole bunch of people can hurt you, but you still have to give people opportunities in life, just like Jesus gives it to us every single day, because none of us are perfect. We are all sinners, and who are we to judge anybody else if God himself does not judge us? Learning how to love, whereas before I was very bitter and I hated everybody around me, and I hated myself especially. I'm learning how to love me for who I am, with all my imperfections, because God made me good, and I choose to be whatever I choose to be. So that's very positive. My goal in Lent is to be a better Catholic, to not only go to Mass every Sunday, but to help my community around me, and to help young Latinos especially, just like me, find themselves just a little push to God, just the way I did it, just the way someone pushed me to be better in my faith. And I really, really encourage everybody to start praying more, have that communication one-on-one with God, because sometimes you might not feel okay, you might feel like you need someone, and who knows you more than your Father, God. I do challenge everybody to take that step, take that push for yourselves, and to start being more involved with church, to be more involved with God, to be more involved with prayer, and especially to be more involved with yourself and give yourself some time to get closer to your faith. The advice I would give anybody who is going through a journey like me is to never give up. There was times where I felt very worthless, and I felt like I wasn't worthy of God's love. Don't let that feed into your head too much. You are worthy of God, and we are humans. Remember that we do make mistakes. We are sinners, but we are trying so very hard to be saints. So I encourage you guys not to give up ever, and not to let your thoughts get too much into your head, and don't let evil win the best of you. See my journey as something I'm very proud of. Like I said before, I come from a very broken. I was very broken before, only because I didn't know who God was. So looking now, where I'm now, I'm very, very proud of myself. Of course, I'm not perfect. I don't think any of us are. So I'm just very blessed. I'm very proud of myself that I got to have this one-on-one connection with God, whereas before I couldn't find him.